Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. If you're new here, my name is Neve and it would mean the world to me if you would stick around. In today's video, I am going to be walking you guys through the unhaul that I've done of my bookshelf in preparation for 2021 coming to an end. If you're new to booktube or you don't spend a lot of time here, you might not know what an unhaul is. Basically, it's just clearing out your bookshelves, but it's very common to do book hauls, so we now call them unhauls because it's fun to show people what you're getting rid of. Disclaimer before I start this video, all of these books will be traded or sold or donated to somebody else or a charity shop. None of these books will be going in the bin. That makes me feel a bit sick, the thought of putting a perfectly good book in the bin, so they will be used again. Someone will love these books, even if that someone is not me. Moving on. So, the first book that I am getting rid of that's in my pile is The Meaning of Birds by J. Robin Brown. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll have seen me review this video earlier on in the year. I think I read it in May or June, and I liked this book quite a lot. It was good, but it is a book that I am likely only going to be reading once, so it doesn't make sense for me to have it on my bookshelf because I'm just not going to pick it up again. And I feel like this is a book that other people could read and absolutely love and read again and again, and I would rather someone else be able to do that. Also, I'm not really a hardback fan unless it's like a fancy book, so if I'm not going to read it again, I would rather just not have a hardback on my shelf that didn't need to be there. Personal taste, so this is getting shifted. The next book that I will be getting rid of is Stum by Jem Lester. I'm pretty sure I bought this book in Poundland about 4 years ago and I've just never got round to reading it. I've never really felt the urge to pick it up, so I feel like it's just sitting there for the sake of sitting there, and someone else could read it and actually enjoy it, or just actually read it. So it just kind of became a priority thing. I feel like if I've not read it by now, I'm probably not going to read it, so there's no point in keeping it for the sake of keeping it. The next one is Final Draft by Redgate. Now, I bought this book earlier this year along with a lot of other sapphic books with the intention of just introducing myself to some new YA sapphic novels, general fiction sapphic novels, yada yada yada. And I think I read most of, if not all of, the other books that I bought this with, but for whatever reason I just didn't feel the same draw to this one after I had it, and I'm not a fan of the way the book looks. It's a funny size, and I just think if I'm not going to read it and I don't like the look of it, then there's just no point in having it. There's a demographic for this, and that demographic probably includes me, but there's just been no strong urge to pick it up, so I'm just going to get rid of it instead of keeping it just in case, because there's a high chance that I just won't. Next up, I will be getting rid of Louis and Louise by Cohen. This is for a similar reason to The Meaning of Birds. I just don't really like hardbacks, so in terms of priorities for what I would like to have on my shelf and what I want my bookshelves to reflect and represent about myself and my reading tastes, this one just doesn't quite make the cut. I'm getting through these so much faster than I thought I'd be getting through them, which is good because it's quite a pile. Next up, we have The Start of Me and You by Emery. This is a book that I bought and read and liked when I was 13 or 14. It's just not what I read really at the minute, and it's one of the last books that's still kicking around from this sort of phase of my reading, and I just don't really see the point in holding on to it. It doesn't reflect the books that I actively enjoy and would like to talk about and lend to friends and stuff, so it's just time for it to go. And there will be someone who's currently 13 or 14, or maybe it's just someone who's not that age, but you get what I mean, who will enjoy this the way I did the first time I read it, even though I don't really remember how I felt about it other than I must have liked it to still have it, I guess, but it's time for it to go. Next up, we have The Morning Gift by Eva Ibbotson. This is historical fiction about the Second World War. Historical fiction is just not a genre that I feel any large draw to. It's a book that I kept when my mum was clearing out her bookshelf because I was intrigued by it. I think that's where I got this book. I'm not 100% sure. I know I didn't buy it, but I'm just probably not going to read it because historical fiction just isn't generally my thing. So I'm gonna get rid of it, because for a lot of people historical fiction is like the only thing that they read, and it makes more sense for them to have it than me. Next up we have The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. This is going for similar reasons to The Start of Me and You. It's just not quite what I read anymore, although I still love young adult novels. Just this one specifically is not quite where I'm at the minute, although there's nothing wrong with them. And it's just, I've never reread it after reading it the first time, and it's time for it to go. I have still got other Becky Albertalli books. I think she's wonderful. This one just wasn't really for me, and it's no point in hanging on to it for the sake of, because I have other ones, so it's time to go. The next book that I will be shifting is The Tattooist Auschwitz. I'm getting rid of this one again just because of the historical fiction thing. It's not a genre that I enjoy. This is a book that I definitely kept when my mum was getting rid of books because I thought I would give it a go, and then I didn't give it a go, and now I just feel like I'm keeping it for no reason other than because I feel weird getting rid of books. So I'm getting rid of this book. The next book that I will be moving on to another owner is Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I just didn't like this book, and that's pretty much the end of it. I DNF'd it, and there is no point in keeping a book that I actively didn't enjoy reading, so it's got to go. I'm flying through these actually. I really thought this video was going to take longer than it did, but apparently not. Next up is Identical by Ellen Hopkins. It's just, again, not really a genre that I read, and I don't like the form of this. It's like poetry but a novel, and it unsettles me slightly, the idea of reading a book of this size like that, because I'm not a big poetry person either, so it's going, unfortunately. I'm just not adventurous enough for Identical by Ellen Hopkins. Now the next book that I'm getting rid of pains me a little bit because I'm still so disappointed that I don't love this book the way everyone else seems to love this book, but I will be getting rid of my copy of The Perks of Being a Wallflower because I just didn't like it. I thought it was fine. I prefer the movie. I think the movie's fine. I don't love the film. Something about it just didn't work for me. And there's no point in keeping a book because everyone else loves the book, so sadly it has time for it to go. Next up, I am getting rid of An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. I just know I'm not going to read it if I haven't read it yet, so I'm gonna give it to someone who is gonna read it. I don't really have much else to say about that. I don't have anything for or against this book because I've not read it. It's just time to let it go. Yeah. Moving on. I have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I'm getting rid of this because I've already got it. That's it. I've got the trilogy, and my dad bought me this one for my birthday because he didn't know, so I'm getting rid of this one because I don't need two. And also, I'm not a big fantasy person, so I'm still not sure that I'll actually read the trilogy, and therefore I definitely don't need two of any of them. Next up, we have Beautiful Broken Things by Sarah Barnard. Again, a book I read when I was like 13 and have never read since. And although it is stunning, and I know for a fact that I have kept it because I think it's stunning, that is not a good enough reason to keep a book that I haven't touched in about 5 years. So it's going away. Next up we have Looking for Alaska by John Green. I liked this book when I read it. I've never reread it. I've never thought about rereading it, and I often forget that I own it. So I think that's a sign that I probably shouldn't keep it. So I'm not keeping it. Next up, I'm getting rid of this play, which is The Homecoming by Harold Pinter. I already have a copy of it. I bought this copy. I bought both copies secondhand, but from the same person, but I don't need to, so I'm getting rid of one of them. Although I have just realised whilst flicking through this, talking to you, that this version is annotated, and that really excites me. So I'm going to have to check the other one, because if the other one isn't annotated, then I'm getting rid of the other one, because this is fascinating. I've never met the person that I bought them from. I just bought them secondhand on like Facebook. So it'd be so exciting to see how they like view this. So maybe this one is getting kept. Will we have a check together? Will we take a scheduled break from our regular programming to see if both versions of The Homecoming by Harold Pinter are annotated? Let's do it. They are! Oh, perhaps I have to keep them both. Maybe I'm not getting rid of The Homecoming by Harold Pinter, because that's really excited me. I should have looked first. I feel like I've found buried treasure. Is the handwriting different? It isn't. I'm moving these away from the get rid of pile. They've excited me. This video is taking a turn. Back to what I'm meant to be doing. I'm getting rid of this copy of Oliver Twist by Nigel Bryant because I'm not going to read it. I'm just not. The next book that I'm getting rid of for the exact same reason, and it is this non-fiction book called Remedial Drama by Sue Jennings, which I think is about how to teach drama and how to use drama as therapy. And that does excite me, but it's not in great condition, and I'm not training to be a drama therapist or a drama teacher, so I think perhaps I don't need to have this book. So I'm not keeping it, pretty much. The next book that I'm getting rid of is It by Stephen King, because fuck off. Yeah, like, I've never read a Stephen King novel, and this would not be where I started, because look at the size of it. And I'm not really a horror person, so I would not start the horror genre like this either. I would quite like to read Misery. I think that sounds interesting, but yeah, this isn't Misery, this is It, and I feel like reading it would make me miserable, pun intended. So I'm gonna try and see if there's anyone who actively enjoys the genre, and they can have it, because it's in brilliant condition. I don't actually think it's ever been read. I think my mum bought it and then went, fuck that. And then I was like, oh no, maybe I should try it, and then I went, no. So bye-bye. And the last book in my pile is a book that makes me quite sad to get rid of. Is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I didn't really like this book, admittedly, but I love the film, and I fixated on this film so hard. Like, it was one of the biggest media hyperfixations that I can remember now that I can identify that I am a person who hyperfixates. So it makes me kind of sad to part with this, because it feels like parting with the film, which is not. But yeah. Is it logical? No. I'm still sad about it though. But I don't really like the book that much anymore. I've outgrown the book, I think. So it's going to someone who has not yet outgrown the form of the book, because I do think it is a fun, valuable book to read as a young queer teen, even if I have some issues with the latter half of it. And there we have it. Those are all of the books that I'm getting rid of, moving from 2020 into, moving from 2021 into 2022. That's horrifying. It's true though, that's what's happening. Yeah, those are all the books that are not coming into the new year with me. I have, however, just bought a lot of books to bring into the new year with me, because I have recently got a job in a bookshop and have not had the willpower to resist the discount that you get when you work in a bookshop. So if you would like to see the books that I have splurged on with my staff discount, let me know and I will film it with great joy. What I will show you though before I leave is one of the books I've bought that I don't have the willpower to wait for you to tell me that you want to see, and that is Greek Myths, a New Retelling by Charlotte Higgins. It is possibly one of the most gorgeous books I have ever seen, and I'm really excited by this because the pages are very crisp and white, and like it has maps in it and it's illustrated, and I have just recently gotten really into Greek myths and everything about this makes me so happy. And I am so excited to spend Christmas reading it. Like, this is going to be my Christmas Day book. I already know that. And I am like waiting for it to be Christmas Day so that this can be my Christmas Day book. So excited. So excited. I'm going to like post this video on like Christmas Eve. And it's not going to have quite the same impact, me going, it's going to be my Christmas Day book. But just know that it is the 21st of December. And I am struggling to wait till Christmas Day, but it's like a perfect Christmas Day book, so I will wait, just with great impatience. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like, leave a comment and let me know. Tell me some of the books that you've decided to get rid of this year and why. If you aren't already subscribed, it would mean the world to me if you would consider doing so. And I will see you next week, or possibly not next week, but soon, hopefully. Yeah, bye.